Note to self, get a wide-angle lens. They have these wide-angle lenses they clip on your cell phone to give you a better image. Anyway, the short version is, click me links to some of the art, comics, or beanies for the homeless next winter. Somebody sent me a bunch of comicsgate books yesterday, which is awesome. They went above and beyond. More than I expected, and definitely more than I deserved. I was able to read a bunch of them. I read Cyberfrog, Lone Star, Jawbreakers, Ironsides, Ravage, Kill All Men, Bigfoot, Bill, Blue Mamba. They are all head and shoulders better than the mainstream stuff. They feel like what comics are supposed to be. Marvel doesn't even come close. In short, they were all good and some were great. The two standouts were Lone Star and Ironsides. If you're short on funds, these are the two books that are worth following. Richard Meyer and Mike Miller can actually write. First of all, I've been reading SGW Cancer comics for so long that it has made me bitter and black-hearted. Reading the comicsgate stuff was a refreshing change of pace. First of all is Cyberfrog. And no, I'm not going to shoot it. Destroying good comics is childish. It doesn't deserve that sort of thing. Besides, I'm an adult. Zach was tearing up SJW comics. They deserved it. Cyberfrog is not SJW propaganda. But before that, after reading all these comics, there's no reason Comicsgate should have stopped growing. Comicsgate should be twice the size it is now. If you're familiar with Comicsgate, then you know the constant fighting has hurt the growth. I told EVS that Cyberfrog 2 should hit $2 million. There's no reason why it shouldn't. The quartering said he noticed that the fighting never seemed to stop. He didn't have the balls to come out and say who he thought was responsible for it. But if you have one person fighting with a dozen people, it's almost a mathematical certainty that people at the nucleus is also the problem starter. You have the first fight with Nurkish over his humorous, edgy Discord, and Tim Lim, Ben Henderson, Nasser, Sashi, that English couple, Douglas Ernst, Doug TenNapel, Mike Miller, Edwin Boyette, even War Campaign for a while, the Greek guy with the unpronounceable name, Angle Team from I Love Comics, the Comic Book Hut. For the love of God, you have one guy fighting with a dozen people. Maybe, just maybe, that one guy is the issue? Can we at least come to the point where we can admit that? Mark Waid brought Comicsgate maybe $2 million because he's such a douchebag. But this other gentleman is responsible for taking $4 million, in my estimate, away from Comicsgate with his constant fighting. Comicsgate should be huge, much, much bigger than it is now. Okay, Cyberfrog. They sent me the chromium cover, which, as people keep telling me, can't be square bound, so fair enough. It's a bummer because a square bound is easier to hold, but chrome does look cool. Some people complained about the fluting and the text boxes and minor things, but it wasn't perfect, but it's a first campaign. None of the first campaigns were perfect. I know that these minor errors will be fixed by the second book, but like I said, for all the minor imperfections, these are all better than the mainstream books, all of them. Okay, so I know the minor errors will be fixed by the second book. Where are my boobs, Ethan? What happened to my breasts? Do I have a B cup, a C cup? What's going on under there? I can't tell because it's all in shadow. You cucked a little too much on the whole political correctness thing. Look at your audience, dude. Look at your audience, is all I'm saying. I enjoy his sense of humor that comes across in Ethan's writing, but some people have said that they want a more polished writer. It's a matter of preference, but I guess for $1 million book, you may want to get a writer with a little more time in the saddle for the second one. Chuck Dixon, John Delarose, or Richard Meyer would be excellent choices. Also, a cover by Mike Miller would be great. You gave her, like, hips and a butt, but you just completely cucked out on the boobies. The Clinton thing, it was in there. It wasn't necessary. It wasn't awkward. It was just, if you're going to put Clinton in there, go full hog and make fun of him. Your audience is, I guarantee your audience is 90% right of center and probably old enough to remember Clinton and laugh at him. So if you're going to put him in there for a reason. Make fun of him. He was just like a weird background thing. I mean, you should have put some Monica Lewinsky jokes in there. Something in there. If you're going to do it right, is what I think. But it wasn't awkward. It was just kind of unnecessary. The page count was only, I think, 48 pages, and much of that was taken up by the backstory. He spent so much time covering the history that the book feels very short and incomplete, which it is. It's part one of a two-part story, but for $25 plus shipping, you don't get a lot. But this is all relative. It's still good, much, much better than anything coming out of the mainstream right now. When I first got done reading it, I thought it was very good, and it left me curious for part two. I gave it very high marks. However, the second book I read was Lone Star, and Lone Star was even better. It had warmer characters and warmer relationships that the reader could identify with. Where Cyberfrog is funny, but there's an undercurrent of maliciousness, much like the writer himself. But they were both very, very good. I gave EVS a hard time, but Cyberfrog #1 was a solid, good book. Lone Star was better. However, I did notice one grammatical error in Lone Star, and that is absolutely unacceptable. I saw him use the wrong your for your, and I died inside. I am far from a grammar expert, so that means if I can pick up a mistake like this, there's probably more mistakes in the book. I don't know how that makes it past an editor, and I'm sure that there are a few people who would double check your work for you for free. A comic doesn't have the word count of a novel. It's just not a big deal to send it out to people, to have them at least look it over for you. It probably would take less than an hour to edit it. Lone Star was good. It felt more mature, like it was for an audience who enjoyed a bit of old-fashioned romance and adventure. Cyberfrog was more one-dimensional, like it was written and intended for young men. But I'm not trying to damn it with faint praise. It was good. It's a solid success. The thing is, it's harder to get invested in a frog. Then it feels like it has the potential for romance with a female protagonist, but then you remember that it's an amphibian, and that wouldn't really work out unless you go all Howard the Duck and start exploring interspecies erotica, which is an entirely different type of comic. With Cyberfrog, I know that all the minor errors will be corrected by the second issue, and it will be up to where it should be. I did think of one thing. It's sort of hard to really care about a robotic, overpowered frog. Humans care about humans. I'd like to see a better writer handle Cyberfrog too, and maybe focus the story on Heather. I think Cyberfrog could have been much better if the story was told from her point of view. That's why Cyberfrog felt cold and mean. It's about a robot, and it requires a better writer who can bring some warmth to the story. Next book is, okay, Lone Star. It was better than Cyberfrog. Mike is a very funny guy on paper, which is odd because he is not funny on video. It wasn't religious or anything. The guy said a prayer before battle, which fit in. Actually, after all the Antichrist SJW comics, a little bit of Jesus felt like clean waters. That's what Lone Star felt like, clean and uplifting. I'm really sort of surprised that Mike could write this well. I mean, on video, he doesn't give the impression that he was so capable. Sorry, Mike. Lone Star is a hard recommend. Then Jawbreakers, Iron Sights, Ravage, Kill All Men. These were all excellent comics, fantastic stories, solid art, amazing dialogue. All solid recommends. So far, the only comic I didn't understand was Blue Mamba. It was quality work, but I don't even want to show it because it's kind of got a nudie pic on the cover. But writing adult comics to me seems like you're limiting your audience too much. There isn't much difference between Ethan's and Mike's sexy drawings of scantily clad women and Blue Mamba's nude ones, but Blue Mamba is it's adult content and the others are general audience. There just doesn't seem to be any point to including full nudity. That content is free on the internet. Focus on the story. If this was 1990, maybe it would be cool, but we all have that stuff on our phones now. I think there's more sex appeal in leaving stuff to the imagination. Myers and Canales. They're awesome. They're just an awesome team. I can't recommend Iron Sights enough. Myers is amazing at dialogue. He is good enough to be a real writer if people read books anymore. Ravage, Kill All Men. Awesome. Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon is great. Classic Indiana Jones type stuff. I guess one of his crowdfunding projects didn't get funded. I don't know why. Ravage is a top rated book. The thing is excellent. All three of these books are Lone Star, Iron Sights, and Ravage. Amazing stuff. It sounds a little weird to say I feel proud of comicsgate, though I obviously didn't have any part in being an artist. But you guys have something to be proud of. You guys produce very, very good stuff. So I don't know why his second crowdfund didn't get funded. The thing is, you got to build your own platform. That takes time. If you can't, then you got to team up with somebody who will build a social media platform. You got to produce content every day, even if it's just you drawing and mumbling incoherently to yourself. You have to give people something to connect to. So in terms of bang for the buck, Iron Sights, Jawbreakers, and Lone Star, you get a lot of great story for your money. Cyberfrog is just too short, though obviously the art in Cyberfrog is, you can just open the book at random, and anything you open the book to is going to be solid art. It's EVS definitely knows what he's doing. Beautiful face, nice hips. Where are my boobs? Where are my boobs? It's all really good. And the colors, Kyle Reuter did the colors, so credit to him. Really, really solid. And it leaves you wanting more for part 2. So I get it, these are premium products and people aren't really thinking about bang for the buck. But if you are, this is like, feels like a graphic novel. You're getting, I don't know what this is, 100 pages or something. That's a weird thing I never noticed about graphic novels. These guys aren't numbering their pages. Kind of weird. There's a lot of great story. And the dialogue, Myers is fantastic at dialogue. Anyway, guys, if you want to send me your comics to review, the guy also sent a bunch of this other, like, pinups and stuff. I haven't even opened them. If you want to send me your stuff to take a look at, hit me up on my P.O. Box, or if you have digital versions of the stuff, I don't know if I should say that because it's pirating. But if you have digital versions, you can email me, biancazombie602@gmail.com. Thank you to everyone who has supported the channel. You guys are amazing. All right, guys, I'll see you all next episode.